Do I? Okay. I heard the pink. I shimmy this.
Yes.
PBO. Positive vibes. This is the PBO show.
Today is Tuesday, 11th, 2023. And today we're going to do I guess, more laid back version of this show. And today I'm going to interview Nancy Aguirre.
That's the closest someone said it the first time. Yes, it's Aguirre.
Okay.
Aguirre.
Positive vibes. This is the PBO show.
Today is Tuesday, October 11th. And today we're going to talk to Nancy Aguirre.
Yes, Aguirre. Yeah, and I'm excited. It's my first podcast I'm doing. And
Okay,
I'm,
so
yeah.
Nancy, I met her when I was doing the podcast with Rob, and we're at Cosign. And then from there, we started talking, and then she was talking about being on the podcast. I was like, you know what, let's make this happen. So now that I'm at the new studio, I've gotten kind of situated, still figuring it out, but I was like, let's do this. And so today we're going to get to know a little bit about you. And first and foremost, tell us um, basically where you're from and what do you do for a living?
Okay. I was born and raised in Dallas. I don't know what to call that. Not like not north or south, but like that middle part of Dallas. Like I guess I keep trying to coin a phrase for it, like middle Dallas. I don't know, where like West Chapel area is. I grew up in that area before, going to North Dallas, and I went to UNT, got a degree in broadcast journalism at the worst time possible when media, was all blowing up, but it found opportunities.
Was it the NC or RF program? What was it called?
Oh, actually, no, it was the first year they had the broadcast journalism school. It was like Mayborn School of Journalism. It was the first year trying it out, opening a studio. So we were like the guinea pigs of it all. And but yeah, it was weird times. It was so I graduated in 2011. And yeah, from that, I ventured off to other stuff. I realized I didn't want to be a reporter, given the times and stuff. And so I've always been, art. Like I love art and creating things and everything like that. So I decided to. Well, I mean, first jobs that came to me were marketing because everything was social media based and social media marketing. That was one of my first agencies I worked for. That was in Dallas, and then um, yeah, doing a lot of tools. So now I am a, a digital marketing specialist, web designer, and web developer because I'm nerdy and I know how to code.
So let me ask you this, because that sounds like quite the pivot.
Yeah.
Um, so first of all, let's backtrack. When did you know you wanted to go into journalism, broadcasting?
Really was a whole kind of journey of it all
'Cause
because
that's a very specific one.
yeah, well I've always liked writing and I liked art and I like creating things. So after and psychology, like I started with a going into school for psychology, and then I was like, it's a lot of reading. Like people are interesting, but also like it's a lot. And then I was like, I'm gonna be an art major, and realized, yeah, that's not gonna make a lot of money these times. And then I talked to my advisor, and she's like, well, you like, talking to people. You also like creating things and telling stories, and you like basically she wrapped it up with like you can be creative and a writer if you do broadcast journalism. And then that's when I transferred from TWU because they didn't have that program and UNT was opening it. So that's how I ended up there. We were a very small class. Like some of them are still reporters today, but
Yeah.
some of them also like out of it or whatever, or didn't pursue it. Um, but yeah, that's how it happened. It was basically like a mashup of all my interests that my advisor at the time like was like, this seems like the best route for you because you'll have more options for jobs because you can do the, the behind the scenes and you can talk to people and also just shut out while you're editing or whatever.
So it's cool. Like, I don't think I've ever known anybody like when I was growing up that was into editing, but I knew people that were into sound engineering and or getting into animation. And I actually took a course from college in animation, but from scratch, like back in the like Dreamweaver days, like
Yeah.
so that's cool. So when did you decide that when did coding become a thing?
Speaking of Dreamweaver, yeah, well, that was because at that point, so I graduated from high school at like, 2007. So that was, MySpace, there was LiveJournal, Zanga, all that stuff. And when MySpace came along, I thought, since I always loved creating things, I was like, hey, this is fun to do. And so I would like customize. I think you talked about this too, that you used to all like customize, you have your song playing and
Yeah,
all that
the
stuff.
top eight.
Yeah, like, it wasn't just about the top eight people
See,
in
like
town.
I believe that yeah, your way because I was '04, right, when I graduated, and that happened. I remember being senior and Friendster was popping. Friendster.
Yeah,
And
that was cool.
MySpace started to happen when I was in college. Then that was like at its peak where like I remember putting some D's on that Cadillac as my profile song. And I had my top eight and like there was like I had a crew of homies that was like friends the show but art school edition. And one of us would get salty, like because everyone kind of understood like how the
The
totem pole.
rank, because it's like you're ranking your friends.
Yeah, because like it was me and my roommate Dusty. He was kind of like that. Between him and I, we are just like wanting to hang out with us, right? And there's all these girls, and then we had this uh wild guy named Tito, swole, nerdy, weird, fun guy. He was from
So he
Mississippi.
was the description, or he's basically Tito Vodka. Is what I've
Oh, he would drink too, man, and he was so swole, dude. Like he was like this dude from Mississippi, and he told me how about him and his brother would push cars in the yard to see for fun to compete.
for fun
Yeah,
as a hobby.
yeah.
Okay, that's like I guess that's what people that do like I don't know cow tipping get it. I don't know.
See,
That's not
so
my thing.
school I was in Midwest, so I ran into a lot of that because
Oh,
Nebraska was in the Midwest, which I ended up going to Nebraska, and because of being there for so long, I ended up going to Iowa. That was just a different world.
yeah. I actually just hung out with my friend that her dad lives in Iowa, and she visited recently. I'm like, so how was it? She's like,
It's fun. Okay, it's like I'll put it to you like this: it's like those movies where you see that it's based in like a rural country,
yeah.
but everyone's nice and wholesome and everything's clean. But that's it. That's all you get.
I mean, I guess that's why you have Dave Chappelle living in like
Everyone knows it.
Ohio.
So where I went was called Winterset, and that is where John Wayne is from. So I happened to be friends with this kid. I didn't realize like the crazy thing about art school, going like to like one of those top schools that's just expensive as fuck. We're trust fund kids. And I wasn't used to that as much because in high school I knew some, but not at this level. And like one of the girls was dating this guy, and I became friends with the boyfriend of my friend that was in school with me. I befriended
Okay.
her ex, right?
Yeah.
Because he became so cool with the guys, and they just kind of were like, "All right, that's cool. You're doing the mixed friends, I'll date someone, whatever." So I didn't realize like the level of like, all right. I knew this kid came from like he had his car. He had like he said like his dad was a plumber and had a business. I'm like, cool, whatever. I go to visit him, right? His family's estate. Didn't know at the time, and I go in motherfucker is living in like the middle of nowhere in this amazing house, like old school Victorian with wraparound like patio.
That's what I envisioned, as you said. Like his family had an estate. I'm like, oh, okay, so there was no neighbors in sight
No,
at
dude,
all.
and
It
like
was
woods, woods, what like
just.
was like the fence.
Did they feel like Get Out, like the movie?
No, because it was different. It was different, dude. Because this kid was like a emo-ish type kid.
Yeah.
So like, and the girlfriend was like art school kid. So I was just another art school kid. They were familiar with that girlfriend.
Yeah.
But for me, it was more of a culture shock going from like a couple of hours from like Kansas City to Nebraska, and next thing you know, like I'm in a fucking like a wholesome movie, walking in the yard, and I'm like birds are chirping,
Hello, neighbor.
and it's like
And it's just like
the
just
calmest
family.
feeling ever, just looking around, like and like the fence, like I said, what made kind of like the surrounding of the acres, like blocked everything else, was like a really nice pine wood, like wood trees.
Oh, I get that. That is what trees are made out of.
But all I'm saying is like it was just so
No, yeah,
like
no, I get it. I
like
get it.
peaceful, like
Yeah, no, that sounds super peaceful. I mean, like I said, it's like you hear Dave Chappelle moving out in Ohio now. It's like it's peaceful. Like it's just
yeah, no,
like
that.
and I find the most I like the peace of
So
living a creative
Winter
life.
said, check this out. They, I was trying to leave, and I remember like you had to pay gas. I'm like, all right, let me gas up. And I go inside, give him my money. He's like, what are you doing? I'm trying to give him money for gas. No, you have to pump gas first. It's already on. Like that's how they were. Like, that's how it, bro. Like
that is not happening out here.
I felt like I was in Mayberry.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I remember that's how like nice everyone is.
That's seriously
like self-serve pump, right?
Yeah.
But
and
it's already on.
Yeah, they trust you enough to be like, no, you're gonna come, like how they do in some places in what's that city? And I think it's in Denver that they have like the honor.
That was actually 2007, by the way. Yeah, this was when I was in college. So you're about graduating. I was like a junior at the time. Yeah, I was a junior at the time, and I remember going. It was spring break. It was my birthday week, and I was always the kid that had it. It was always spring break, right? And my birthday always fell on spring break.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like, you know what? Let me go to Iowa and see what's up. And like, it's like a foam party out there. Like my homie he's actually a cool fucking guy, really cool guy.
Well, I'm sure if you're gonna go to Ohio.
No. What I'm saying is like I got to see how like rich small town, like not to say like snobby, but he was a cool kid, had some money, like
humble.
Because when he said his dad was a plumber, I'm thinking like, all right, I know plumbers, I know what that looks like, but no, his dad, he's like the small version of AT&T plumbers in Winterset. Like he owned that shit. Like his whole company is a plumbing person.
Well, he is very saying, "Oh, that's."
But what's funny is like he was kind of a fuck up. He wouldn't even be cool in here. We're still friends on Facebook.
What was his name? Everybody.
Oh no. I'll say it. His name is Ben. Right. But Ben, no one will ever know because this was back in the college. He was a cool guy, man. But he was one of the first people I've met where he already knew that he was going to college, quote unquote, going to community college. But he was doing well in school. I guess like he knew he was going to take over his dad's business.
Oh, he knew it was set, so he didn't have to like work as hard or anything like that.
Because he lives a sweet life, and it's like it works for his dad, and it's like plumbing, but it's like no, he's like the Don plumbing. And it's like that's so crazy, like because that's kind of a generational industry that stems from a small city, like a small town.
Yeah, no, it is because that's that's where like you get the whole wealth that comes from it.
Like, well, that's what I learned. Like when you go to like places like in Iowa and Nebraska, like you meet these generational wealth of families that came from like being the first gas station in this town, or something like that.
Yeah. That's like not out here in Dallas. So yeah, for me being Dallas born and raised, I'm like, no,
because the population is so small.
Still.
Yeah. It's literally where like a Gilmore Girls episode. Everybody knows everybody and blah blah blah.
I haven't heard Gilmore Girls.
I thought that
out loud in so long, but I totally got that reference.
I thought you would resonate with that one.
Yeah, like definitely. Are they like have timer thingies? Uh, it's probably
All right.
different here
So,
and there.
so yeah, I don't know how we went in this large tangent, but I've been to the Iowa.
So you've been to Iowa. That's wonderful
But I will say,
information.
you know what? They got it. They got back then. I don't know. I'm sure it's still the same, but they got it right. Like they had such a trust system. Like
That yeah.
no, like you have to, sir, go put gas first.
Seriously, I thought it was unheard of anywhere in America. So that's amazing to know that there's, still communities like that have that trust because definitely did not see that out in Dallas. Like,
Yeah, no, my
oh,
college life was interesting because like I never went to traditional school. I went from like all right, as a kid, private school. Then high school came, I went to art school right here at Booker T. That was like my first exposure, right? And then I'd meet, family girls, even that I dated in that lived in Highland Park, right? And I remember when I dated this girl in Highland Park. I was like a sophomore. I pulled up to her house. I just got my license, and I felt like I should be there to mow it.
oh no,
I was like,
no.
dude, because it's generally like, you're in Highland Park, and then you're at one of these big ass houses. And
They are nice, but
the thing
damn,
is that
does
this
that it make you
girl and
feel
this
that way though?
well, the thing is like we both go to the same high school at Booker T, which you have to try out. So it's not like,
Yeah,
but what I'm saying, like I was part of the exclusivity and people that recognize the value of that school, families of Highland Park. I remember the time I went and dated this girl from Sunnyvale. I was a junior. She was in my class. She first transfer went straight to AP, and she was like, "Wow." We started dating. Next thing you know, I visited her in Sunnyvale. Didn't realize there is a place called Sunnyvale.
these places have the most pleasant names. I'm just saying, with the other one you said too, like,
Yeah.
what is
Second time I felt like mowing someone's yard was
yeah.
visiting this woman.
Oh, this was a woman. Okay.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm saying back then, of my classmate.
Yeah.
She, her, I just knew like her parents were divorced, right? And they're split up. So I'm like, all right, cool. Thinking, like in my head, I'm thinking I'm gonna see like dumbed down version of a family home, right?
Yeah, like the stereotypical thing that
Uh,
would hear. Yeah.
um, I pull up the country and I'm like driving an endless road down middle of like fields, and I'll pull up to this driveway and it's this Porsche Boxer with the top down, multiple garage entryway, and then there's a fucking pond.
What year was this again?
This was in high school. That was like
Yeah.
2002.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah.
She
Yeah.
had a pond in her backyard,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Did she
like,
have a moat
and
or
and,
like one
and
of
she
those?
had an indoor pool that had a door right open to the pond and the deck.
I don't know.
Well, no,
You
what I'm
I'm
saying is like,
just kidding. I'm just
yeah, I'm saying is like we were dating.
yeah, yeah.
What I'm saying is like I've dated. What I'm saying like then
Just
you go to
seeing the
college,
different.
but then you go to college and you see like the percent. Like my dad owns this ridiculous company,
I don't know.
right?
Talk
And
about.
then I don't know, but like when you went to school, you never met anyone with a trust fund, like anyone like
Oh no, yeah.
that was like, oh, I gotta talk to my financial advisor to see if I can get some more money.
Yeah. Well, actually, there were some because growing up, I did transfer to a lot of schools, so that's why I have my way of seeing it was somewhat like yours, but very local. It was from moving schools, because my first school was like elementary school was in Burnett. No, well, Burnett and Foster. I don't know what order. Not foster care. There's a school called Foster. So Burnett, Foster, then DeGolyer, which was a mostly white school, and then to Gooch. Thompson Gooch is the real school. I'm not being a pervert. That's actually the name of the school. But yeah. So I got different cases, different parts as my family was growing up. My mom was a single mother, so that's where though I grew up in that sandwich area of Dallas, find a way to name it something. Um, yeah, whenever she worked her ass off, got her own house after my parents divorced, or during whatever. Um, she works at a hospital now, like, and she's been there forever. She was able to, you know, get buy a house on her own with three girls, and um,
Wow.
yeah, so she's my hero. And then so from that, like just having to move around and stuff because of different situations, I noticed different types of people around. So I've always kind of like, yeah, so I did know some people that had all that money from certain schools and things, but and people that had, you know, happy families and or divorced families that weren't like mine, that was, you know, a struggling mom. So I got to get that, but it was all kind of just local, like Dallas area, not like
Yeah.
traveling states.
No, I guess I was trying to say like earlier that I don't have a traditional sense of school. Like, I might even mention this when I was on Rob. Like, I've never been to like a pep rally. Like,
I
uh,
voluntarily didn't want to go to
I no, no, dude. Well, cause me going from private school, like it wasn't working out. Like I was getting, this was during school. Like I was getting in trouble for drawing. Go to Booker T, and next thing you know, I'm like learning all these other skill sets, and it's coming natural, and then it's like this is fun, and I'm not getting in trouble. I'm getting
yeah.
good grades versus like drawing class.
Yeah, no, I do think it's a thing that they do, and you know, just because I mean, since I was in public school and like just different areas of them, that creativity is seen as a good thing in some of them, and the other ones it's like you're just doodling or whatever, and it takes away from you know the growth. So that's why I like the school. Like I there was like a bus that would pick up people to go to Booker T or Town View or anything like that from you know thing. But for me, because I had a single mom that couldn't do a lot, I was like, well, I guess I'm here. So I was always just in AP classes and things like that, like or you know taking like you know I want to go to this art class for fun because that was my
So were you like
thing.
a very good art student, like studious and
Yeah, I was. I
that's
I
cool.
have a
No, that's
stupid
cool.
joke that I always say, but it's like actually true that I was always picked to go to the math Olympiads like in elementary school because I was fucking smart as shit and like, and then just like
Now
I
you remind me of my cousin.
I never won though.
He's a numbers guy. He's also a middle child brother. He went to SMU, doing school of
That's
Cox.
wait
Uh,
what?
went to SMU for the business school of Cox.
He went to
Well,
school for Cox is what I heard.
COX.
I know. I'm pronouncing it the right way. I'm saying a statement that you
Okay.
saying back to me
So what?
different way.
What I'm saying is like he's just numbers guy, and
Yeah.
he likes it. Like
I feel like you
there's a
knew I was gonna go with that. Sorry. Okay. Yes.
what I'm
You
saying is
learned a
like
lot from Cox.
what I'm saying is like you're a numbers person, right?
Yeah.
And so
That's
like
what. Yeah.
that's what coding comes into place as well. Like
Exactly.
kind of within the same like not field, but I think stimulation.
Yeah, the way my mind works is very much like a puzzle. Like I like solving things like almost every day now. I do a crossword puzzle to start my day, just kind of get going. Or I mean, I meditate too because I like to kind of like shut everything off. But once I do, I'm like that's just my jam of putting things together. So when it comes to either creating something like by a drawing or creating something by coding, all of it is like so stimulating to me that I find more excitement in that than like stuff.
Before you went on your own, you said you were in corporate world.
Yeah,
How's that?
do not recommend.
Why? Tell us
um,
about it.
well, I mean, I think shit. I think it's kind of been shown out there. You know, like it's just a lot of like you can't be creative in the corporate world because you do get censored down a lot, and that was something that I realized was a problem. Was that I couldn't be as creative because you have to. At the end of the day, there's the gatekeepers at the top. End up controlling the whole narrative of how things are going to go. So no matter how good your idea is, it could be killed at any moment in the process of everything.
Because in your case, I think I've never tasted that world, but I've seen enough people talk about it in that world. I almost seen it in the when I was a design major at one point in college, and what structural where it's collaborative. You're like there's a collaborative amount of peers that are working
Yeah.
for the same purpose,
Yeah.
and then they'll decide what's the best. Pick it. You're getting paid. Move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. That's basically it.
You have a salary for this.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what this. It's like, hey, it's cool. You're gonna go home. You're gonna be able to pay your bills. It's fine. but
You have good HMO, you have good, you have 401k.
in
Like,
case you
shut up.
get hurt or anything, we got you kind of covered or
Like,
whatever.
structurally, we got you.
Yeah,
So move
we have
on.
this foundation to go. But yeah, so then I always liked doing, as I was working corporate for all those years, I realized like um I need to do my like have my own creative freedom like released somehow. So I started just kind of doing my own thing on the side, just freelancing or just doing little projects. And then it was yeah, during COVID I was like, I just need to do this. Like fuck all this. Like small businesses were struggling. They need this stuff. I want to create these things and be on my own, and it ended up working out. And that's why I'm still today working on my own.
Nice. And so, how did you figure out the structure to run that business model independently?
Because I was working for corporate for like over a decade.
No, what I'm saying is like, how did you approach it? Like, what is it that you do that brings you business? Like, is there one different from the other day, or is it like kind of the same thing?
I the way I started was first talking to other creatives from different jobs they had, because a lot of them had a similar like thing that happened to them or whatever, or why they were freelancing on the side too. And then from gathering that, and then also knowing my dad's a businessman. I might not be that close to him, but like it's like I guess I got part of that in him, and again the numbers thing. So it kind of all came together.
Kind of like an image.
I was gonna say middle child, but yeah, like I just mixed it all. Like yeah, no, like I mixed it all in, and I was able to kind of be like, all right, so if I,
I
and
feel
then
like some families are wired for numbers.
yeah, I don't know, it's
Kind of
been
like scientists having kids that want to be scientists. Like like there's some that they just want to.
yeah. I think that also is the same thing for creative people. I
Like
feel
there's a
like
natural drive, well, not a drive, but just a want to do it.
yeah, because I mean a lot of my family is very creative. A lot of them are on medical fields, but they still have this creative drive. I think I'm the only one that's fully embraced it, and for our generation. And it going the way it is, it's inspired them to do more. So it's actually really cool to see that it's like, hey, you can make a living off of doing what you love. And I mean, I think the pandemic also exposed a lot of that about how, like having seen my sister, my brother-in-law,
It
my
exposes like
mom.
the structure of like, oh, we need to be in this one building and clock in, clock out, and we'll get work done.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh no, we don't even need a building. I know like the honor code. Like we're all working and
Yeah, but it's like a fucked up honor code, not like those places that you visited. It was more like an honor code of like, oh, you want to be homeless? I don't know, like or
like no productivity is gonna show whether or not. And like as long
yeah,
as I think that's why they made some of it stay because and became another outlet business model. Even co-working space blew up after the pandemic kind of slowed down because people are like, I just need a place, a desk, you
yeah,
know, whether it's my house or I need to just go to another co like space and then work and then treat it like a job. But I don't need to go and this traditional model where you go into the building and you're
say hi to
sitting
Carol, go get your coffee.
exactly or have a like water cooler
How
talk
many peas are you
or
taking a day?
be
Whatever.
part of like like unnecessary activities and requires you to socialize and that eliminated everything.
It did, and I mean, from my side, seeing it that like I've been in that world for a decade and seeing like, okay, what am I really getting out of it, like mentally? Like I'm learning the business model, but I'm not seeing. And then when COVID hit, seeing my family have to still go, regardless of no one knowing what the fuck is going on, they had to go in to work because they worked in the medical field, and it was like, well, this is kind of fucked up. And so from all that, and then working in the like worlds I've worked in from the startup of social media to it blowing up and it being like, now big corporations have a voice and all that. It just all became like, why aren't you just doing this? And you can actually work on your own time, not have to rely on anyone and make your own thing. And lucky I have a supportive family that is creative. And so they were like, yeah, you know what? Go for it. And so, yeah, it's worked out since. And I do not.
No, I feel you because you know, after you do all that, you kind of realize what's worth it, what's not. I think
Yeah.
I think a lot of small companies started to stem from that. Not necessarily of like after there's a demo because of need, right? But then there was a more of a change of like mentality. Hey, this is bullshit, and I enjoy doing this. Rather stick to this, and people would seek jobs now that are remote based.
Yeah. I mean, it brings you more peace. And I mean, I don't know. I'm glad the way it happened for me. But I feel like if this happened years ago, I would have definitely been like, I need to work remotely. This sucks. 'Cause I don't know if you feel this way, but as a creative, I always feel best when I'm working on my own and establish like what ideas I want to do, my ideas before presenting them, as opposed to like, everybody in the group, we have to agree on this thing, or like, and just, too many cooks in the kitchen type thing.
Kinda like art school, like people don't talk about it, but it's kind of understood. It's like competitive nature. So like there's also like an open talk, and if everybody clicks, but, mm, I feel better at first, and then I've learned like for me, even anything. I think it's after like, if I have to do something in public, that's whatever. Or I'm doing a mural, that's whatever. But if I'm working on a series, like stuff that no one sees,
This is badass. Y'all are
um,
missing out.
um, for me, I rather ideally I rather do the raw aspect.
Mhm.
But if you're within my like close circle, I don't mind seeing you after I'm in the middle stage,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
like
Yeah.
when it's developed. Because I know too many artists that have the same thing where they're like, people are like, yeah, why haven't you done this? I'm like, well, I'm just started getting,
Yeah.
I'm building a path. But I think that is something we like to avoid.
Yeah, I think that's you said it the way like. I think that middle ground is the best time where you've actually know what you want to do, so then you're open to collaborate. Because I mean, even with my business, I think from it being the beginning of like, okay, these are the places we need to go and create this, and then became like kind of word of mouth of like, hey, she does this, she's, I'm this person, you know me. But yeah, like, and it's like, hey, I would like to work with this person because they see it and they're not about, bullshit. I can make it, create it, and then find you in the middle ground, and then from there be able to, as opposed to like from the very beginning, already being told like, okay, but you can't do this, 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 this. That's okay, but not that. And then maybe that, and we'll go over this later on. And then by the end of it, it's like, what's my product? Like this, there's none of me is in this, and so I think that's a good part of creating. Like it's fun creating with the people, but yeah, just finding out what it is you want to do, establishing it, and then going for it, and then collaborating.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so now that you've been doing this for a while, what what area of your job do you enjoy the most as far as the creative process?
Um, Currently it's the coding part, just because I haven't been able to do that as much. And like again, I like puzzles, and so it's like doesn't feel like work to me. It's like, okay, solve this, and then seeing it come up like, you know, just a bunch of letters and numbers just turn into moving objects and stuff on a website is like fucking core to me. It's like I'm playing an intense video game. I don't know. And but I mean, I also do like the part where I kind of sketch out the process of what it's gonna look like. So the middle stuff is it's fun, but I
Like a
find more.
storyboard?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So just doing the storyboard, and then from the end, just seeing it executed is my favorite part. Like I was telling you, I was like coding earlier today. I was like, oh, it was fun, and then I turned, I was like, oh, I have so many missed calls.
No,
But yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
I first taste I got of that kind of world in a sense,
I see.
back in the day, yeah. My okay, so there's a period where I had a girlfriend I spent in the summer. I was a freshman. I was a freshman, and she was graduating UTA. She was a computer science engineer. She ended up working for Lockheed Martin. Like I just remember like her telling me nerdy shit that I just went over. I was just impressed because I didn't realize there was a strong community of women back then. Now it's more dominant. Like
Yeah.
it was more like a man's field, but then it kind of became like anyone.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I guess I never thought about it that much back then cause I mean, when I got on like what MySpace, I was in high school, and then, Facebook kind of stripped all that, but that Facebook was like, well, you had to be invited by email by someone from college, like that was the thing. Um, and I think I was invited with my aunt. And yeah, but it was just so funny, the transition of everything being like, oh, you can customize this completely to just it being a standard page that everyone uses to connect. And because it's this like VIP experience in the very beginning, now everyone's mom's on it. But like back then, it was like, no, you have to like, who do you know from college that has college email that can invite you to join Facebook? So that was interesting to see. I've always been like super like,
So let me ask you this: Are you keeping up with today's market and current? Like, 'cause if this is your space, do you have your ear on what's going on currently?
always. I check that almost as well as my coursework. I do that almost every day. But also connecting with creatives for times that I might miss something is also amazing because I'm like, it's like I feel like artists and just creatives in general like understand always being like the outcast at some point, that they know the real people to like, you help each other out because you know how people will think like it's weird or whatever you're doing, like why are you wasting your time painting or whatever. But if you have supportive people around you to understand, you know that there's money and
Well,
happiness.
well, yeah, no. The fit is like it's like someone like no one's just painting the paint for the most part. They're trying to make the name show the art. Like people always ask me why I don't have a lot of paintings laying around. It's like, dude, there's a point. Everything I made, I sold because that's how I lived. And and I think of all the shit I've sold and where it's all at, and parts of the world and shit. I'm like, I like that because I've met people that have a lot of shit in storage. Like, this is a problem. They're not selling,
There's hoarding.
but they're the trust fund kids to talk about.
The whole turn. Yeah.
Because anyone that I know that's like I even like the Davy brothers, Isaac and Detox, like they don't have a lot of artwork going around because they're always selling to live off, live.
Yeah.
And to me, like if you're not in the gallery scene and you're not hitting like the cause level, like you're there's like also like an underground, like okay, I would say that's more like the graffiti stems from. Like there is like NT like art school artists, self taught, like like hip hop culture, like here in Dallas. I
Some of them are my friends.
same here. Like I said, I worked with all these guys,
Yeah.
and so like I came in and from like fine arts kids, like that started to true story. When I got into murals, I realized I had to start learning how to do spray paint because it was more efficient and it was cool. Because that's when Instagram started to show you like these high hyper realism pieces, like graffiti artists that they all like, dude, I can do all that shit. I'd love to do it.
Those are cool. Yeah, back in
So that I got into that world, and then like from there, like just like with anything, when I got to body painting, I had to learn how to airbrush because it was more efficient.
Yeah.
Paint multiple people.
You're working in the stencils too, and
What I'm saying is like once you learn like the variations of the one element, like painting, for instance, like you can do it in traditional like brush. There was like a ego back then, like I'm an airbrush artist. I'm a fine artist, or I'm a graffiti artist. And then today I can say like I do all of it, and I still say I'm an artist. I never say I'm a fine artist. I never say I'm a fine artist, even though that's classic. I'm a classically trained.
he's like, fine.
Right? But one of the things like I don't like to tell people I'm a classically trained artist that picked up other skills along the way. Like I do like the urban side of it. I like the it's more. I think that's why social media is so cool. Because like you're like a brand, right? And you're kind of going against the grain. But if people like you have the following, and um, I don't know. I guess I want to say like I have my respect for that community because it made me curious to dabble. Now it's like, oh, I love to like um last time I saw you, I think I told you I was making this like mural with avatar looking thing, and I did it with, but
The NFTs and stuff. Was
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
was the one? Was that the one you're talking
Well, no,
about?
no, it was for them,
Okay,
and
okay.
so like I
Yeah.
made a banner. They were supposed to charge. You're gonna pay like over $1,000 for a printout, and I was like, they showed me what they wanted, and I was like, yeah, I can do that spray paint like that. And so
Yeah.
I did it, and but I forgot like how cool it is when you're a fine artist and you spray paint because you're not just painting like like street style. You're hitting it from technique wise as a graffiti artist, but with creativity and the knowledge of a fine artist.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
something. Yeah, because I mean, I
You're
really.
looking at the values and hues and like
Yeah.
variations of that, and
Like the
like
tones and everything of
yeah,
how it all is gonna play together, not just for like the average. Like, 'cause I mean,
and
these.
then like in the details, like the eyes, like every like versus like a general like stroke that represents the hand or
Because I don't know if you feel this way, but also with like I think with Instagram, it also kind of changed the way people just assume everything. Like anyone could just kind of copy and paste, take a template, and then it's like this is art. But what person that's actually studied it or like knows it or lived it, like knows like that's I could do with. And so when people offer you so much for your actual talent, like actual talent, that's not just a copy and paste job, I call it, is that much more worth it. And I think that's the knowing your value is so important to
yeah,
still
no,
be
no.
put out your creativity in the right
I
way.
think there's a point. I remember my point. And this was like with everything, but it started first with body paint. Art was always for me like a easier sell, but body paint was a harder sell to break.
Bodies, though, that's really
No,
that's
no, no. What I'm saying is
intense.
like when I started, because I started a long time ago, but I remember there was a bracket, like a pay bracket where because I knew a couple. There's a small community of us, and I know all of them, and I know kind of what they make per gig, and next thing I knew what someone established could make, and I was like, how do I justify getting paid? Because I brought my art school knowledge and a fine artist, majored in painting, so I it was an easy transition. But what I'm saying was like I had that like, well, I'm the guy. Eventually, I paid my dues. Just like it's not even about who you are, like you're in the industry, and they don't know who you are, and like no one cares about art school. No one cares. You're telling me a painter and art school, who cares? It's just
At this point,
body art. No, body paint is different. So once I would say probably started 6 years, 7 years in. I've been doing it for 12, 13 years. That's when I started like charging like special price. This is my thing, and I did. And everybody that like I had a client in nightlife, the first budged, they would pass on me and they would hire somebody. It wouldn't go well.
yeah,
Eventually, all right, motherfucker, like do it. Like you are that guy. All right, cool. Here we go.
yeah.
Because they knew
This
it's
is
kind of like have you ever seen that TikTok or those Mexicans saying like, oh, how much you pay him? $20. Oh, okay, I'm good. And kind of mocking him like, get what you pay for, right?
yeah, yeah.
But with me, it's like you're getting professionalism, and like this guy's all about his shit. Versus this Joe Blow is trying to dip his toe in this world,
Hmm.
having more fun with it than being professional.
Yeah. No, I actually have a phrase I've called that very thing. From because I do write and I write like I'm now also on. It's the whole thing. I like to write about different stuff like my blog, so like music and stuff. I call it coasting and boasting. I'm like people that are like that. That's all they're doing. They're just coasting by and just bragging about it, but they actually don't have any talent. And yeah, that's you heard it here.
No, no, it's
Trademark.
true. No, I think there's a those people. There's no you call it like wannabes.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
because they're just
like
putting
layman's
out.
term wannabes, but what I'm saying
Yeah,
like there's a version of that in
it's like
every
grind.
niche.
There is, and that's why from what you're saying and from the stuff I see as well on like whenever I'm working in, whether I'm working in like the design world or if I'm working on like just like code stuff or whatever, there's always people that are like, oh, just copy and paste it, blah blah, and then they brag about
Literally
all.
know it all.
Yeah, and they're just like, I just know, and that's why I'm like, that's why they're just coasting and boasting, like that's all they're doing. It's like getting by and bragging about it.
I think for me, like, because Kevin was the training. I remember I was in art school, high school. I never told people I was an artist. I would say I was a student of art. Did you not? No, because when you realize like the privilege, just going from because I grew up in Lovefield. I grew
Yeah,
up in Lovefield and didn't have art school. I was in a little mix. From there, I would go to people that are coming from training, middle school, with art, and went to art school. And I came into this really like respectful art knowledge, like the history, just the structure of art and the teachers behind it. It's kind of like it's Europeanish in a way. It's very philosophical. It's like you're getting your Italy like feel because it's like when you're in art school, you get different conversation of knowledge of being taught. Not like a someone that goes to college for like accounting and or someone that goes to college for something more traditional, right? But in art school, it's more of a conversation.
yeah. I mean, I said, like there was a point where I was gonna be an art major when I transferred over to UNT before talking to my advisor. That was I had those classes and I was like, this is like it was cool to have a it's like I had to wait till I was in
That's
my
that's
20s to
that's the
get that
part that
knowledge.
that's the part that I would say from my experience. Like I have like a sweet and sour taste of art school because I didn't have the same experience. My high school experience and my college experience are two different worlds of art school. Because in high school, I went to school with a mix clusters: music, theater, dance, art, visual arts. So like I dated like a lot of the dancers. They're like the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like then the theater kids like hung out with the art kids, and the art kids would kick it in the weekends with the music kids, and that was it, right? But when I went to college, I went to like conservatory, so it was strictly about art, being an artist. So you're not a painter, a sculptor, designer, like within the art world.
It's more focused and yeah.
You're not gonna see music. You're not gonna see theater. We are like the hyper focused version of it.
Yeah.
Then that became more like, how I said like the art kids hung out with the music and the theater. Never said that the artists hung out with the other artists because we're assholes. So like it was hard to be friends because no, because it's very competitive.
Yeah. No, I guess that's where I never got to that point. I've always just kind of I'm still not used to these things. I'm like,
I think for me, like the people that are like collaborators is more of an urban community thing because I got more. I remember doing something years ago that a guy was like gonna let me slide in this last minute body painting gig. Pretty big gig, and next thing you know, he said something that
I really want to make a joke right there. But
he said something that actually changed my mentality about. Remember, art school is competitive.
yeah,
Now I'm talking about like underground community right here.
it's extra competitive.
And no. With them, you know what he said? Um, my whole thing is, and if you cool with this, you can join. I want you to get here, leave your ego at the door, and we're all a team, and we're all gonna collaborate. Can you do that? I was like, hold on. We had to think about it. It's so unknown for me to not do
Yeah.
that. And so I was like, but in my heart, I'm not that guy. So I was like, honestly, put your guard down. If that's their philosophy, that's your heart already. Just do it on guard, right? So I was like, all right,
Yeah.
do it. And then I was like, okay, now I get it. Because it's like, you know that expression when you hear iron sharpens iron?
Yeah.
Well, art school is true to an extent, but it's like we're all synchronously sharpening at the same level. But in the collaborative community, it's more like you're helping someone else get to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not growing together gradually, but once in this community, once help someone get over the hump to the next level.
It's like you're helping the person as opposed to just like crawling on top of them.
Like there's a growth.
Yeah,
process,
yeah.
like
There's that.
an evolution.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because there are people like I mean, in the corporate world, there's that thing too, where it's well that I since I experienced that side first before joining the other side is very much like oh this happens like people just climbing over each other instead of like hey no I got you like this is the fucking community we're gonna you know grow and
Yeah. So let me ask you this: um, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years? I always ask people this.
I knew you were gonna ask this and I have the same answer I already thought of before. It's like, I don't know. And not that because I'm lost or anything. It's just because I feel like it's a weird time and weird time. So I mean, like a couple years ago, even before I started this, my mind I was already going to be living like overseas. I was thinking like Italy or Spain or something, and just studying more and growing more out there. Um, and because I mean, I mentioned my ex earlier. Like I'm divorced, and I've been divorced for like I think it's 5 years or something, and it's been the no offense to him, but best thing of just growing and being my own person with my own, just everything me. And that's what I want to do. I'm like, I want to keep exploring. So I've been traveling a lot. And I know that's why we've missed each other and stuff, but like, um, I, I, I love that. I love going out places and stuff. And so I don't know if I can set a plan in 5 years and I'm be like, oh yeah, I'll be working my own business here, blah, blah, blah. Cause I'm like, I don't know. At this point, I could be somewhere else. I could be Same. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't like to think too
No,
far
that's
ahead.
good. We need all sorts of answers in this show because that's what I like about having different people on. Get different experiences from other people's perspective of life. Like some people are very like not rudimentary, but by the book, I would say.
Yeah, like people.
And then there's some other what do I call them? I don't call them risk risk takers. I guess that's what I would call them
Okay.
there.
I was like, what are you gonna call it? But yeah,
Like not there's traditional and then there's conventional.
yes, that's the politically. I just think like life should be fun and you should make the most of it. You don't know what's gonna happen any freaking day, and what is it you want to do? Go for it. So if it is like, let someone draw in the class, let someone go like. I used to be such a shy kid, nerd, math and stuff. Um, but I've learned to become myself from all those experiences, and also just doing what I want to do and not letting anyone stop me from that. And I'm lucky I have a very supportive family that believes in me and knows and sees everything I've been able to do. So it's like super cool to find myself surrounded, in my little orbit of people that, have the same mindset that aren't just like, well, by this year I must do this and because I'm like you're not living your full life if you have that plan. And well, at least in my mind, that's how I'm like if you're not taking chances on yourself, or then you're just living in this bubble that you've created, and you're not gonna experience the most out of the one thing you can't get back. It's time. Like
Sure.
like that's all you have.
Oh, so we're coming towards the end, and I always ask if what would your one standout message be to somebody who's trying to pursue a dream or goal and they don't know? What would you say?
Go for it. Like try it, or talk to someone about it. Like it took me honestly, even before I changed my major this last time, it'll be a short story, I swear. Before I changed to broadcast journalism, I was so afraid to tell my mom because I'm like, I'm not gonna graduate in 4 years. It's gonna be 4 years and a half, and just like the 6 months, I was like going insane over for no fucking reason. And once I told her, she's like, "Why were you? Yeah, that's fine." She's like, "It's just 6 months," and she's like, "And honestly, like." She's a writer. Like she's got children's books. She's a nurse, but she's also on the side she writes. So she's got children's books and stuff that she's been working on, although with some illustrations or editing and stuff like that. And yeah, so like I was like, why was I so afraid to say something I wanted to do? So I'm like, just yeah. So that's advice to everybody. It's like just go for it. just fucking do it. And then you'll figure out if it's something you actually wanted to do and you're passionate about, or you are like, oh, that was a dumb idea. Let me go back to square one. You know, there's stuff I've failed at, but I've kept going.
It's true.
But
You got to do it. Cool, man. So, thank you for coming on. If you don't mind, I'll put your social link and find you on Instagram and whatever.
I'm a very private.
Also, you can, this was also episode 12. I want to put it out there. Just keeping this going. You can find this on Spotify and on YouTube. So, just know also, because I feel like a lot of people don't know this, but you can also watch this video on Spotify. It's a new thing. I've had for a couple months now, but people always think it's you can just listen to it, so they can view it on both platforms. So thank you so much. And if you haven't, please download this episode, follow me on Spotify, subscribe to my YouTube channel.
And I will give you all my information here below. I'm giving you a task now. All of it will be right here. NancyTatiana.com has everything. But
all right, guys. So with that being said, we're out.
Oh, positive vibes. This is the PBO show.
That was fun.